Good morning, beloved. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever it is that you are watching the broadcast. Hello, 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 hello. It is wonderful to connect with you, to say hi. Hello, how do you do? What is going on? What's happening with you? Blessings, blessings, and more blessings I speak unto you. For those who will be live, yes, 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 let's do it. For those who will hashtag and replay it, I love it. For those who will be on and I don't know you on and I might not never know you on, I could appreciate that. And for those who will be used by God at some point down the road to encourage this girl, let's make it do what it do. Let's make it do what it do. Good morning, Coop Coop. Good morning. So good to see you. Good morning. Thank you for your love. I appreciate it. All right. So we're still talking about our mind and our thinking and things like that. In our thinking, do we experience more often than not, because we don't live perfectly in no one camp, but do we experience more often than not bondage or liberation? What about you? Do you experience more often than not bondage or liberation in your thinking? What is the primary context in your thinking? What is the primary context of your thinking? Does that primary context lead you more towards bondage, or does it lead you more towards liberation? You get to decide what it looks like. Does it lead more towards bondage, or does it lead more towards liberation? You know? Um, and so our thoughts matter. What we focus on matters. And life is life. So life will do what it does. We will make choices for better or worse, um, because we are practicing humans, right? Just like they say doctors are practicing, anybody, therapists are practicing, like we're practicing. We're practicing humans as well. We're practicing at being uh, in each stage of life, because we as an individual have never been in this particular stage before. So we are practicing, you know? Um, with that being said, it is important to give ourselves grace, but also accountability. Grace to know that, unfortunately, we could not have known something before we knew it. And there are definitely some things I wish I knew before knowing it now, right? Definitely some things I wish I knew, but I didn't. So what I cannot afford to do is to beat myself up about those things that I simply did not know. Can't can't do that. Because then life is going to be miserable. Because then you know what that looks like is then I'm having a war with me. Then I'm at war with me. That don't make sense at all for me to be at war with me. Not gonna do it. Right? So then what does it look like um So then what does it look like to create an atmosphere in our mind that is one of liberation with what we think, where we put our attention, what we talk about. Good morning, cousin. Happy holiday to you as well. Love you right back. With what we think, where we put our attention, what we focus on. Do you know what would it be like to give attention to those things? Right? What is it like to give attention to make sure that the content of our thinking is going to be that which is life-giving to us? That the content of our thinking is that which will be life-giving to us. What would it be like to have that as a focus, to have that as our intention, to have that as our habit, as our way of being? Good morning, Ray Price. Thank you for your prayers. Right? What would it be like for that to be a truth of ours? That this is the way we do it. This is where we put our focus. This is where we put our intentions. This is how we take care of ourselves, by first taking care of our mind. Do you see? We take care of ourselves by taking care of our mind. We take care of our mind by disciplining how we talk to ourselves, right? By disciplining how we talk to ourselves, by making sure that we give ourselves what we need in dialogue and in conversation, right? That's how we do, that's how we keep ourselves out of any self-imposed bondage. That's how we keep ourselves out of a self-imposed bondage. Because, I know stuff happens. Stuff happens, and we and it can be difficult, right? It can be difficult. But what is your thought content? Where do you focus your attention when you get to difficult places? And what do you do? Right? And what do you do? If you feel like you're moving, if we were talking about like a pendulum, not a pendulum, polar opposites, right? The spectrum, being on the spectrum. On this end of the spectrum is bondage. On this end of the spectrum is liberty. If you find yourself closer to bondage, how you going to get over here closer to liberty? How you going to move that needle over? What do you need to do? What do you need to stop doing? Do you need support? Do you need sleep? Do you need to change your eating habits? Do you need sun, fresh air, exercise? What do you need, beloved? Because as long as there's breath in our body, bondage is not an option. As long as there's breath in our body, bondage is not an option. Not at all. It's just simply not an option, right? And so, as you think about good morning, Brian. Love you right back. As you think about what to focus on, and again, I am not taking away from that difficult things can happen in life, right? We can find ourselves being in a very, very difficult situation. I am not taking away from that at all because it is a part of life. And so, but even within the difficult situation, in order to get the most out of life, we've got to monitor our thoughts. We've got to monitor what it is that we are saying. What is our internal dialogue? What's the conversation that we are having with ourselves about whatever situation it is and about ourselves in the situation? Like, what do you say to you about you? What do you say to you about you? I think about some of the biggest mistakes that I've made, and sometimes it makes my stomach drop. Like, I'm like, okay, what we gonna do with that? Mistakes that were made years ago, years and years ago, but still the effect of them are showing up today. At this point, there's nothing I could do about the mistake. I have to deal with the consequences. And sometimes that's a bit scary, right? Sometimes it's a bit scary and disappointing. But at this point, it is what it is. So you got to figure out what to do now that you have gotten to a place where you are aware enough to say, well, dang, that sucks. And yeah, wish I had done something different. Wish I had been a different version of myself who would have done something different back then. Right? If I had been a different version of myself to have done something different. But I wasn't that version. And may still be working on being that version today. Like I might have the knowledge, but I haven't made that transformation, right? And that's a part of life, right? It's a part of being human. And do you know? So we have both and in our living conditions, right? Thank you for the thumbs up. So we have both and in our living conditions. But my question to us today is whatever it is that our life is experiencing today, does our thinking lead us closer to freedom or to imprisonment? Do we experience more bondage or liberation as a result of our thinking? That's what I'm asking about today. What is it that we get more of from how we show up to life? What is it that we get more of? How we show up to life from a mental, from a thinking perspective. Whatsoever a man, woman, person thinketh, so are they. So are they, right? And so, what's your thoughts? What is your thought content? Does your thought content lead you to feel more free in life, to feel more present in life, to feel more empowered in life, or the opposite, to feel disempowered, to feel disconnected, and to feel more imprisoned? Do you know? So, wherever we find ourselves, we want to make sure that we're working more towards liberation than bondage, right? More free to be our own selves. We want to make sure that we are working in those directions. And so just asking yourself the question, what does that look like, beloved? Right? What does it look like to be in that space? What does it look like to have that as your way of being? Right? How does that show up for you? How do you show up for that? And so, yeah, giving yourself that space, giving yourself that opportunity, giving yourself that availability to show up in those ways for you. Show up in those ways for you. So how do you get there? How do you monitor what you say? So there's this thing called META cognition, metacognition, and it's really defined as thinking about your thinking. Thinking about your thinking. And so when you stop to think and ask questions like, and what did I just say to myself? And why did I say that? Right? And you assess, do I want to keep saying that to myself? Like, does that thought help? Is that thought helpful? Is it harmful? I don't believe that thoughts are neutral. I believe that they are for better or for worse, but not neutral. Because even a neutral thought keeps us where we are. So, anyway, thinking about your thinking, stop and give yourself some time and assess your thoughts, asking yourself, does your thoughts serve you? Are they beneficial? Do they cost you? Do they take from you as opposed to adding to you? Do your thoughts take? Do they withdraw? Or do they add? Or do they add? Right? There are thoughts, so we want to know. All right, beloved, I love you. I appreciate you. I value you. And at the moment, God gave us our breath, me and you. We forfeited, we relinquished, you and I, we gave up the right to not be amazing. All right. I will see you tomorrow as we wrap up this series about our thoughts. Bye-bye now. See you in the morning.